Okay, guys. So as what I was saying, I'm going to discuss investment and we will concentrate for simple interest today. There. Okay. So when we say investing, we use our assets to earn income or profits. So when we say assets, so these are the things that we own with values. Okay. So one common example of asset are our properties. So we also have cash as an example of asset. Now, we have different types of investment, and the basic one is the basic savings account. Nowadays, people really have trusted financial institutions like banks. No, so in fact, they secure their money by depositing their money in the bank. And the most common product that the bank would offer to us is the basic savings account. Now, this basic savings account enables the depositors to keep their money in a safe place while also earning a very not small but a very very small amount of interest each month. And take note that interest that a depositor would earn is subject for the tax. Okay. Now, um on the other hand, um as what it explains there, the money will be kept safe, no, in safe. So the money will be safe in the bank, and in the event that the bank declares bankruptcy, um at least I think 100,000 pesos or 500,000 pesos of deposit will be returned to the depositor. So a minimum maintaining balance is required for any savings account. No, for example, like I think in BPI, they just require the depositor for 2,000 peso maintaining balance. But in BDO, they require 10,000 pesos. Okay? So with a minimum or a small amount of maintaining balance, you can open your account, and well, that will earn interest monthly pa rin. Kahit very small amount of interest. Another product wherein most of the banks offer is the time deposit account. So this is also called as certificate of deposit. So it's a product which almost the same as savings account, but the money is kept by the bank for a fixed period of time. From the basic savings account, you can withdraw anytime you want, no? But here there's a specific period of time that you're going to withdraw your money. I think the minimum period of time is 30 days. They also have 60 days, 90 days or more. Of course, the longer the period it will stay in the bank, the higher the interest you will earn. And then this money market is usually played by um, corporations or company. No, so it's a type of account offered by banks. So this usually pays a higher interest. So among the three, this has the highest interest paid. Of course, it depends on your investment, the amount of your investment. So this is a higher minimum balance as well. So as what I've mentioned, in most of the banks, they require only minimal amount of maintaining balance. But here, um, it's usually 100,000 pesos or above. And then there's also a limitation on the withdrawals per month. And this is a variable interest which will be discussed in other business mathematics classes. As what I was saying, we will be concentrating here on the types of interest and how do we calculate interest. So we'll now proceed with interest. So before we proceed calculating the interest, of course we have to define what's an interest. So an interest here is a charge for borrowed money. Okay, so for example, you make a loan, so you will pay the loan at a given period of time, and of course, you're going to pay also the interest from borrowing the money. So that's the charge when you borrow
Jacqueline.
money. Yes, Cheryl.
After the polling.
Okay. Sige. So, for instance, you invested your money, and at the end of the period, of course, you will get your investment including the interest. So we call that as interest income. Okay. Now, I'm going to discuss simple interest for today. And then next week, I'll be discussing compound interest. So when we say simple interest class, this simply means a set percentage of the principal every year. Okay. So we use this formula, I and F. And let me explain each variable in the formula. So I is the interest, and you know what's interest already. And then P for the principal amount. So that's the amount of money borrowed or the amount of money invested. R is the annual interest rate. Of course, the interest is calculated based from the annual interest rate. And when dealing or when solving problems, we have to convert the annual interest rate to decimals. And then the time has to be expressed this time in years. So for example, the investment is good for 18 months, and solving for the interest using the formulas that I have presented, you have to convert 18 months to years, and that's equal to 1.5 years. Okay, so how did we come up with F here equals P times quantity 1 plus RT. So originally, I is PRT, and F here is the final amount. So when we say final amount class, so this is the principal amount plus the interest. This is also known as the maturity value. So the amount of money at the end of the period. Okay, so the total amount of money that you're going to pay at the end of the period. Of course, when you pay your loan, you will not just pay the principal amount. And that principal amount, again, as what I was saying, is the amount of money that you have borrowed. Of course, you will pay for you will pay for an interest. And the maturity value is equal to the principal amount plus the interest. Now, how did we come up with this interest based from this? And we know that P is equal to PRT. So substituting PRT to P here, we have F equals PRT plus, I don't know, I is PRT, okay? And then plus P here, okay? This P is this one. Now, when you say P plus I, it's the same with I plus P, okay? So, factoring the common factor between the two terms of the right side of the equation, so we will move out P. So PRT divided by P, which is the common factor, for us to get the second factor, that would be RT. So can I just place RT on the second term? And then P divided by P is 1. So we got this value of F from here. So whenever we're asked to solve for the interest, we will solve for this formula. And for the final amount, we'll solve for F here. Okay, so find the interest for 5,000 pesos at 6.25% for 3 years. So we have to identify the given first. We have, we are asked to solve for the simple interest, and that's I. So I is missing, and we know that I equals PRT. So this one is the principal amount. Well, this is the annual interest rate, and this is our T. So substituting the given in the formula, we have 5,000 times the rate. So convert this in decimal by just moving two decimal places going to the left. So we have 0.06 times 3. So your I is equal to the product of the 3. So the product of 5,000.06 and 3. And the interest is 900 pesos. By the way, the commonly used type of interest is the compound interest. Now, this simple interest may be used for charging an interest for a friend, for in some lending institutions, but mostly they make use of the compound interest rate, and that's what I'm going to discuss next meeting. But for now, let's concentrate on simple interest. So the simple interest for the first problem is 900 pesos. So a department store charges 11% for overdue accounts. How much interest will be owed for a 10,000 peso account that is 3 months overdue? Okay? So this is the principal amount, and this is the annual interest rate. T is 3 months, so we have to express this in years. So this is just how many months in a year? 12. So this is 3 over 12, which is equal to 1/4. You may directly press in your calculator 1/4 or 0.25. They're the same. Okay? So I here equals 10,000, tama ba? Okay. Times 0.11 times 0.25 for 3 months. Okay? So how much is the interest? So that's 10,000 times 0.11 times 0.25.
275.
Yes, that's 275 pesos. You're right, Cheryl. Okay, next. Find a simple interest for 2,000 pesos invested at 2.5% for 4 years. So this is your P. This is your annual interest rate. This is your time, or R. So I equals 2,000 times 0.025. That's 2.5%. And then times 4 years. So 2,000 times 0.025 times 4. So that's 200. Now, if you have the calculator with you, you join me solve. And then if there's a discrepancy, let me know. So we can compare answer. So that's 200 pesos. Oh, no, no. I have to press this one. An investor deposits 20,000 pesos into a savings account. So the account pays 7% interest annually. Okay, so this 7% annual interest rate class is very um high interest rate. So usually it's 1%. It depends on the investment, no? But with this 20%, this is not actually 7%. But for the sake of solving the problem, be it. So let's consider the rate as 7%. So how much is the total investment after 2 years? Guys, we are asked to solve for the total investment. And this is solving for F. Okay? So The total investment is the principal amount plus the interest. Or we're going to use this one. So F equals 20,000 times 1 plus times quantity 20,000 times quantity 1 plus the rate is 0.07 or 0.07. It's the same. And then 2. So we have the final amount equal to 22,800 pesos class. So meaning from 20,000 peso investment, um, an investor earned 2,800 pesos for 2 years. But we're asked here on the total investment. That's solving for F. So Steve borrowed money on 22% simple interest for 1 year to buy some expensive Christmas presents. When he paid back the loan a year later, 440 interest was charged. How much did he borrow? So here, we're asked on the principal amount. Okay? We can use still this formula and solve for the missing variable for the unknown value. So the interest, according to the problem, is 440 pesos. So this is our I. And P is missing. So we have to represent that by P. And then the rate is 22%. And then it's for what year, right? So this is equal to 440. And then P times 0.22 times 1 is 0.22P. So to solve for P, we have to divide both sides by the coefficient of P. And that's 0.22. So dividing 440 by 0.22, so that's your P. 440 divided by 0.22. And this is 2,000 pesos. Ah, yeah, correct. 2,000 pesos. Or, you may derive a formula from this. So, you divide both sides by RT for you to isolate P because we want to solve for P. So, P is equal to I all over RT. So, when you substitute the given, this is 440 all over, the rate is 0.22, and this is 1. This is the same thing, exactly the same thing here, no? So we divided 440 by 0.22 because this is the product of 0.22 and 1 is 0.22. So this will result with the same value, 2,000. It's still 2,000. Okay. A sum of 4,687.5 was lent out at simple interest at the end of 1 year and 8 months. So 1 year and 8 months. The total amount was 5,000. Find the rate of interest. Okay? So here, what do you mean by a sum of 4,687.5 was lent out at a simple interest of 1 year and 8 months? The total amount was 5,000. So find the interest rate. So meaning at the end of the period, 5,000 is the total amount. So this is referring to the final amount. While this one is the principal amount. Do not get confused with a sum. Usually this is used referring to amount of money, but not necessarily consider this as the final amount. Take note, class, that the final amount should always be greater than the principal amount because the final amount is the sum of the principal amount and the interest. So this is really F and this should be the principal amount. So this is the principal amount. And we are asked on the interest rate. Okay? So we can make use of this formula. So we have to, or we can either use this I equals PRT. We know I by working on the difference between, since F is also equal to P plus I, so your I is transpose P on the other side. So your I will be F minus P, right? So if I equals F minus P, and then you less 5,000 by 4,687.50. Okay? And I is the difference between the two. 4,687.50. And this is 312.5 or 0.50. 312 and 50 cents. Now, if you know I, and we are asked to solve for the interest rate, same with what we did here. In solving for the rate, so I equals P, using this, we will divide both sides by PT because we want to isolate this R. So the two variables will be canceled. So R equals I over PT. And we can use this whenever R is missing. So here, R equals, the interest rate is 312.5 all over the principal amount 4687.5 times 1, which is the time. So using your calculator, so this is 312.5 all over 4687.5 times 1. Or you may not write 1 there because it's the same product. So if the answer is non-terminating as what is in the answer for number 6, we will round off the value to two decimal places. That's already in percent. So we have 0.0685 something. And that 0.0685 when converted to percent is 6.86%. Okay? So originally it's 0.0686 rounded up to four decimal places. Converting this to percent, so we move two decimal places going to the right. So we got this. An amount of money gained an interest of 14,400. So this is the interest, very clear. It was invested for 9 months. If the simple interest rate is 6%, calculate the principal amount. So this is the interest and we're asked to solve for P. So P is I over RT. Substituting the given in the formula, so the interest is 14,400. So we're expecting um a bigger amount because 14,400 here is just the interest. All over the rate is 0.06, but this is just 9 over 12 because year, because the the investment is good for 9 months only. So this is 9 over 12 or 3/4 or 0.75. So if the given time is in months, you just consider the months as the numerator and then the denominator will be 12 because there are 12 months in a year. So when we say 9 months, that's 9 over 12 of a year. And 9 over 12 is the same with 3 fourths, which is the same with 0.75. You can directly place 9 over 12 in your calculator and the answer will be simplified. So no need for
Huh?
you to solve. Yes, Cheryl.
How about 1 year, example, 1 year and 8 months po?
Aha, wait. So we have to go back with this problem. Let us just finish 7 and then I thought this is 1 year. I forgot the 8 months here. So I place 1 here. So we will
Yes po.
recompute number 6. Thank you for reminding me for the time for 6. So but let's just finish 7 and then let's go back with number 6. Okay?
Okay po.
So this is 14,400 all over 0.06 and then 0.75. Okay. So it's 320,000 pesos. I told you it's a huge amount. Okay, going back with number 6, I'm sorry. So, let me erase this part. Erase, erase, erase. But really, the interest is 312. Lagay na lang natin in hmm, so I equals 5,000 minus 4687.5. So I is ulit 4687.5. It's 312.5. Okay. So R is R is I over PT. Again, let's substitute the given. So we have 312.50 all over P. P is even I think the substitution. Anyway, this is the correct solution. Thank you for reminding me. And then 1.8 is equivalent to in 1 year we have 12 months plus 8. So we have 20 months. Okay? 20 months. So you can write that. No need for you to reduce the fraction to lowest term because the simplification of answer is done by your calculator and we're not discussing simplifying fraction here. So you may write here 20 over 12. You may reduce that to lowest term or not. Anyway, you'll be using calculator. In your activity, the solution that I require you is to identify the given in the problem and then substitute the given in the formula like what we're doing and then your final answer. Because we will not be solving for this manually. You will be using your calculator. That's why I told you for this fraction not reduced to lowest term, that would be fine. It will be simplified by the calculator in the final answer. So this will be how we substitute the given in the formula. And then the next step is the final answer rounded off to two decimal places. So let's recompute. So this is 312.5 all over 4687.5 times 20 over 12. So we have 20 months. So 1 year and 8 months is equal to 20 months because 1 year equals 12 months plus 8 months. So that's 20. I told you if the given time is in months. So you just copy that month as the numerator and then all over the denominator, which is 12. So we have 20 over 12. So it's 0.04, which is when converted to percent, 4%. Okay. So we have an exact value. Okay, so everything is clear here, ha? Sorry for the wrong representation. But again, the time in number 6 is 1 year and 8 months, which is 20 over 12. So in the previous solution here that I presented in number 6, so I just considered t equals 1. I was able to overlook these 8 months. So this is now the correct solution. And the answer for number 6 is 4%. Okay? George took a loan for 7,200 and the bank is charging a simple interest rate of 3.25%. How much will he owe at the end of 3 years? Okay. And this is about solving for the final amount. Ayan, sumobra. Wait. So we're asked to solve for F. And this is the principal amount. This is the rate. So F is equal to 7,200 times quantity 1 plus the rate is 3.25%. So this is 0.0325 times 3 years. There. Okay. So this is the P time quantity 1 plus RT. So we use this formula, this one. So this is how we substitute the given in the in the formula and write your final answer. So using your calculator, we have 0.0325 and this is for 3 years. So at the end of the period, George will pay a total of 7,902 from his loan of 7,200. Okay? So if you invested 3,000 pesos in an account that paid simple interest, find how long you would need it to leave it in at 4% interest to earn 150 pesos. So how long? This is looking for solving for time. So we can solve for time using this one. So we will just divide both sides here by PR for us to isolate T and cancel PR on the numerator. So your T is equal to I over PR. So substituting the given class, this is interest all over the principal amount is 3,000 pesos times T. So this is missing. Okay? Wait. I'm sorry. Again, R pala to. There should only be one unknown variable for us to solve the problem. And R is 4% and this is 0.04. Okay? So using your calculator, 150 all over quantity 3,000 times 0.04. And it's 5/4 or 1.25 years. Okay? 10. A total investment of 19,125 was received when 15,000 pesos was invested at 5.5 simple interest rate. How long it was invested? Again, it's still solving for T. And this is the principal amount. This one is the total investment. So this is the F. And of course, this is the interest rate. And T equals the interest. So we can solve for the interest by calculating the difference between 15,000 and 19,125. So we have 15, sorry, baliktad. 19,125 less 15,000. That's the correct term. So it's 4,125. So that's the interest. And this was obtained by subtracting 19,125 by 15,000. So we have this interest. So substituting the given in the formula, that T equals I over PR. So we have I equals 4,125 all over the product of P, which is 15,000, and the rate, which is 5.5% or 0.055. So using your calculator, we have 4,125 all over 15,000, 0.055. And that's equal to 5 years. Exacto. Again, guys, if you come up with non-terminating answer, you have to round off the value to two decimal places, whether that's solving for the principal amount, the interest, the rate, or the time. You have to express that or round it off to two decimal places. Now, if R is missing, we're expecting that the value that is reflected in your calculator is in decimals. So you have to round that off to four decimal places. So when you convert that to percent, there are still two decimals left in the converted value. Like what we did kanina in our previous answer with first answer in number 6. No, so we come up with non-terminating answer and we rounded off the value to four decimal places and then we converted that to percent and we come up with still two decimals for that approximated value. Here I will just give you an overview on what compound interest is and compare this partially with simple interest. Okay. So when we say compound interest, essentially means interest on the interest. So compound interest class is commonly used as way of calculating the interest. No, this is most commonly used by some financial institution, including the banks. Okay, why? Because for compound interest, as you can see in the graph here, okay, so we're comparing. So this blue line represents how the simple interest works, and this red curve is for the compound interest. Now, as you can see here on the x-axis, so these are the terms, no, the number of years the money, for example, is invested. So this will start from 0 up to 50 years. And then the y coordinates here are the final amount of money after a certain period of time. Like for example here, when the same amount of money is invested at at the same interest rate at the same time. So it's very obvious that compound interest will give you a huge amount of interest. Okay? So in most of the long-term or short-term loans, compound interest is used. For example, for a 5-year loan, for a 5-year car loan, they make use of the compound interest. Now, when you like canvas for how much a car would cost, when you buy in cash or when you buy on account payable in 5 years, most likely um, the interest is usually 200% or 100% of the um, original price. Like for example, when you pay the car in cash, that would only give you 800,000 pesos. Now, when you pay that via installment for 5 years, that would cost 1.6 million, 1.4 million to 1.6 million. So that's the power of compound interest. Okay, and I will elaborate more on compound interest next meeting. But in the graph here, like um it started from, so take note that we have the zero here and then this is the 50,000. And at 0 year, of course, the loan or the money would not earn because the time is zero. And approximately, we can consider like the principal amount there would be 10,000 pesos approximately. Let's use block. So considering the principal amount of 10,000 pesos and the time is 50 years. Okay, so for example, we're going to assign an interest rate for this problem. So a certain interest rate, of course, is assigned for that loan. So at the end of 50 years, take note of the point here and the point here. Okay, so let's consider their coordinates. So this is x is 50, while y is approximately, let's consider this um in between
So
450 and
475.
so 475, right? So compound interest to, no? So F is 475,000, while so this is under compound interest. And F under the simple interest rate is 50,000 pesos class. Simple interest. Well, if the time is like less than a year and you have the same interest rate, the discrepancy between the two types of interest is just very minimal. But when you go like a longer term of loan, like 50 years, see the difference between the two. Because compound interest is a linear function. It would increase, but not as an increase of this graph. And compound interest is exponential. An example or a good example of exponential function class is the growth of bacteria. Like in just hours, the growth of bacteria would go up tremendously, right? So let's not go far. COVID cases. So in just a year of the pandemic, so we have raised up to approximately close to 1 million cases in the Philippines, right? So we only started with one identified positive. But after a year or so, we have this 1 million cases. And that is considered as exponential. So that's the reason why many investors are really using compound interest, because it will give you a higher interest compared to the simple interest. And I will be discussing more on compound interest next meeting.